Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatic Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Alrighty, welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. Today we are talking about the Milwaukee Brewers and how the early talks between the Major League Baseball Players Association and Major League Baseball can affect the way that the Brewers approach the trade deadline, which is Monday. Last week we did our trade target, so if you're interested in listening to who we think the Brewers should target, go back and check out last week's episode. Also, today was the official start of Green Bay Packers training camp. We did post our schedule for what our Tuesday night shows are going to look like. Those are going to start August 11th, and then we're live every Tuesday until the Packers season ends, whenever that may be. So then with the talk today, we're also going to discuss how it's going to affect the Brewers, if they should be more conservative, if they should be more aggressive. Jake's going to talk about why they should be more aggressive, and I'm going to talk why they should be more conservative. It's not to say that Jake doesn't see the logic behind why they could be conservative, and it's not to say that I can't see the logic behind why they should be aggressive. We just have two people and two perspectives, so we're each covering one. Before we get started, Jake, I need you to tell me 4 times when to stop rooting around and pick some names out to give away some Garrett Mitchell stuff and other things.
Stop.
Okay. Number 1, Aaron Christine. That's 1. Okay, do it again.
And stop.
Ooh, Brennan Michael. All right.
I know that guy. Stop.
Number 3, Brett Llewellyn. Okay, one more.
Don't know that guy. Stop.
Crystal Lynn. All right. We got 4 to give away some Garrett Mitchell cards. He's been hitting super well, so we're going to give those away. We'll send some other stuff along. Probably thanks to Cousin Subs, because they gave us some stuff to give away because they couldn't sponsor the show, but they still wanted to show us some love. So we'll send some stuff along to those 4. But with that said, Jake, I know I took a lot of notes on where Major League Baseball and the Players Association stand as it affects the early proposals. But as the person who didn't take a lot of notes on that part of it, what is your perception on what the proposals look like and what 2027 looks like before I give you all the nitty-gritty details?
So I was going over some stuff last night. I was rereading stuff, and then I was like, okay, I need to make sure I understand this, looking things up. And I was like, okay. It's hard to put into words because there's so much stuff that we don't even know about. This is only the things that we can read about. But it sounds like the owners are the ones that are pushing for a salary cap because they think it'll create a more competitive market. And with the salary cap, they want a salary floor. So for us as Brewers fans, that's important because we are below, literally all the time, we are below what the projected salary floor is. So I believe it was in the 170 million range. We are in the 120 million range this year. And, going into today's game as they're playing, I don't remember what the score is right now. Last I saw it was 3-1.
3-2, top 5.
3-2, okay. As we were going into game today, we are tied with the best record in baseball with the team who has the number 1 most, salary cap, if that was the thing. Now, MLB would be the last professional sports league to adopt it. Obviously, all the other sports leagues have it, the major ones, NHL, NFL, and NBA. And it sounds like the players don't want a salary cap because it's going to cap what they're able to earn. So I don't know how to feel about it because usually I'm a player first kind of guy. It's not to say that it's like anti-billionaires or anything like that. But it is in kind of a sense because I'm always like for the players because they're the ones that work to get there and they're the ones that give us the product that we cheer for and what we watch. Like the owners are just guys who are rich. That's how I view it, really. And there was a couple other things that they were going after. I took some notes on my phone. I put something together today at work as well. There's changes to some of the free agency. There was potential limits on contract length. That was a big one. They want to limit players to having 6 years if they're on their current team and 5 years if they're changing teams. Increase the minimum salary and pre-arbitration player compensation. They also want to change the amateur draft. And that was a big one for the teams because they were talking about how they use those drafts. They want to make them smaller. The owners want to make them smaller, and the teams like how they are right now because it allows them to get a lot of talent and develop that talent, which is obviously big for us as well. So the Brewers are a big talking point in this because they go against the salary cap. So they're pro players in that way. They like how the amateur draft works because obviously the Brewers have had a lot of success in that stuff. The contracts, like the contract length doesn't really matter to Milwaukee. I mean, they signed Christian Yelich to a nice, big, hefty, long contract, so it worked out for them in that way. And free agency, I guess, doesn't really matter. But in terms of the Brewers, they're going to be the talking point. And I was actually talking with somebody at work, and I was like, honestly, we're in a weird spot as Brewers fans because if the Brewers win the title, there will be no salary cap. If the Dodgers win the title, there is 100% going to be a salary cap. So I'm not saying cheer for us not to win, but you're in a weird spot because you're not going to get a salary cap like you really want, even though that's what you really think that baseball needs and will be better for us long term. You're not going to get that if we win this year.
It's so weird. It's such a weird situation because, like a lot of things, there's going to be stuff where you look at it and you'll be like, okay, I understand where you're coming from, and I understand where you're coming from.
Yep.
But we have to come together and agree on stuff.
Yeah.
And the things that they're going to have to try to agree on, I really feel that it's like, dude, there's no way we're going to have a baseball season next year.
No.
And to Jake's point, like, there's going to be ammo that takes place at the end of October. So it's like, yeah, it's great. They can start discussing these things now, but somebody at the end of October is going to be like, wait, what about our side? This just happened.
Mm-hmm.
This team just won it all. Now our side is more valid. Whether it is the Brewers and it's the we don't need a cap side, or it's the Dodgers and it's the we need a cap side. I feel the answer is somewhere in the middle there, if I'm being honest. Now, as far as Major League Baseball, if you have MLB TV, you're already seeing the commercials. Mm-hmm. Major League Baseball is pushing hard. They're putting out commercials on MLB TV. I've seen them on YouTube. I've seen them on social media. That MLB needs a salary cap and a salary floor. It's these three teams have spent more than the next 15 combined. Yep. Major League Baseball needs a salary cap and a salary floor. And the floor that Major League Baseball is $171.2 million. And the cap that they propose is $245.3 million.
Okay, that's what it was.
And the numbers that those come from, the floor is their proposed number. That $245 million number is $1 million above the competitive balance threshold, which is essentially the luxury tax for baseball. So they're basically putting the cap at the luxury tax number and then making a floor of 171. I think the floor can be lower because Major League Baseball, what they want for a floor is that a team would have to pay essentially a reverse luxury tax if they didn't spend $150 million or more. So it's not that they have a set floor like you have to spend money to reach $150 million. It's that if you don't reach $150 million, you have to pay a tax. And they call that the competitive integrity tax. Now, the Players Association is also looking for a minimum salary to go from $780,000 to $1.5 million, essentially a double. I'm sure they'll meet in the middle somewhere on that, and that's an easy one to fix. Then the Players Association also wants to put the luxury tax number, that $244 million number that I just mentioned, from $244 million to $300 million. That feels very LA, New York coded. Like, hey, don't start taxing us until we spend $56 million more than we already are. That's essentially what the Dodgers gave to Kyle Tucker. Yeah. The Dodgers are saying, don't tax us on Kyle Tucker, the dude who was in the MVP conversation for the first half of last season before he had an absolute meltdown. So in my mind, ooh, cool, $150 million floor for Major League Baseball. What the fuck do they care if they want to raise the luxury tax cap up to $300 million? What the fuck do they care about $150? That fixes nothing, in my opinion.
I agree.
So that's that part. Now, one thing that I do agree with the Players Association is they want players who are 30-plus years of age to hit free agency after 5 years of arbitration instead of 6. That I can agree with. I like that. It gives an opportunity to guys to get paid a year sooner for basically like late bloomers. And then if a team wants to keep them for that 6th year, they would have to pay them the average of the top 125 salaries in Major League Baseball. That 100% support that one.
Yeah.
The Players Association also proposed no more high school players in the draft, and college players have to be at least 20 years old to be drafted.
That's like the NFL.
I don't like that one for baseball.
Yeah, that one's like
I think there's a lot more strategy involved in the draft when you have to kind of pick and choose who you're picking, and understanding that if you draft a high school guy, there's no guarantee that they're coming to your team. They might still choose to go play college.
The Brewers had one in this draft.
The Brewers did have one in this draft. They had a guy that they drafted from Clemson, Aiden Kanak, that went back to Clemson for his senior year.
Yep.
Which is fine, but that's part of it. I feel like this rule is being pushed from sucky teams that are always sucky, that kids are like, yeah, I'd rather go play for 2 years at LSU than be drafted by the Marlins.
I mean,
NIL was part of why they're proposing this. So I do think that there's maybe something to that, but I don't think it's 100% just, nope, nobody under 20 is allowed to be drafted. Because we're seeing players who are 19, 20 years old starting to come up and be productive at the MLB level. I feel like if you make that move, you're not going to start seeing guys in the MLB at 21, 22, 23 years old that you're going to start seeing 25, 26, 27s. And then you're shortening primes. And I don't like that. If a guy's good, he should be up right away. And the way that Major League Baseball's minor league system goes, that's just not how it works. It just doesn't work that way. Like, I'm going to talk about Andrew Fisher later in why I think the Brewers could be conservative based on these proposals. And it's teams aren't sending guys from AA to AAA to the major leagues in a month. That's just not how it works. And I understand that, this collective bargaining agreement is going to force you to change how things work, but that's, in my mind, that's not just going to happen.
I just think I agree with you 100%. I just think that some things are common sense and don't need to be touched is kind of what I'm taking away from what you're saying, and I 100% agree with you.
Yeah. The other thing that the Players Association is pushing for is to implement an international draft and to push the signing age from international players from 16 to 18. This, I feel like the Brewers are stomping their feet and being like, hell no, we are not agreeing to this.
Yeah, did they sign Ricky Monies when he was under 18?
They did sign Ricky Monies at 16. I mean, we just talked about, like, in our posts that they have, like, 5 17-year-old shortstops that are like all rocketing up the organizational level and the prospect list. So like, I absolutely do not want an international draft for the Brewers because, and this is something that one of the people that comments on our stuff often, he brought up, is the Brewers putting facilities in the Dominican Republic to develop these players. That's an advantage that a small market team has.
Mhm.
So if I'm the Brewers, I'm in there and I'm saying, if you're going to try to put a floor in, you're not doing an international draft. And I think that's something where, like, that should be a fair trade-off. Because I could see the Brewers then saying, okay, if you're going to put in a floor, we're going to spend money on international players because we do the best at that.
They were one of the first teams. I actually listened to a podcast a couple months ago talking about all the teams that followed the Brewers down to the Dominican Republic and made like offices and shit down there like the Brewers did. The Dodgers, the Braves, the Marlins. Oh, God, there was like 2 AL teams. There was a bunch of teams that went down there after they found out the Brewers had facilities down there.
Mm-hmm. So that I think the Brewers have pushed back majorly on. And then back to Major League Baseball side of it, they wanted to put a 5-year limit on free agency and cap it at $202 million. That's not going to happen. Players Association's not going to let you cap a guy at $40 million a season. It's not happening.
See, that's where I get really pro player. Like, you're going to make all this money on beer sales. You're going to make all this money on jersey sales and people coming to the games and the giveaways. And I get, like, they have to spend a little money to, like, make that thing work. Mm-hmm. But in the long run, they're coming out ahead.
Yeah.
And they're trying to control how much people make. That to me is overstepping.
Yep.
Like,
especially when they have a really high floor that they propose as well.
Yeah, that's wrong. That's them being greedy, and I don't agree with that at all.
I agree with you. Yep.
I'm always pro player because of that reason.
Yeah, and I can see Major League Baseball being like, well, if we make it so that nobody can earn $40 million, that's going to mean that it's going to spread out. So you're not going to have a guy making 60 and a guy making 35. You're going to have a guy making 40 and a guy making 35 and a guy making 30 and a guy making 25. And I get that aspect of it, but you can have that now already. The Dodgers have that. They have a guy making 70 and a guy making 60 and a guy making 50 and a guy making 35 and a guy making 15. They're just not paying all of that all at once.
Fair.
So they can do that already. But putting a cap on how much a player can make and capping it at $40 million, I could see 50, 60 maybe. Because the NFL's is high. The NBA, theirs is like, with the Supermaxes, it's getting up around like 65. So saying Major League Baseball, hey, sorry, 40, best we can do. And only allowing a 5-year contract. And I get that the NBA has similar rules on contract lengths and stuff like that, and the NFL has contract lengths that are usually in that 4 or 5 year range. If a team wants to sign a guy to, say, an 8-year, $50 million deal for a guy who's in AAA and he's in your top 5 prospect list, sorry, don't mind me looking both ways, wondering who would do something like that, to try to lock up a player like way before he's going to be able to reach free agency because you want to have him around for a long time, I don't think you should be like disallowed from doing that, because you're not forcing them to do that. You're saying, hey, we're going to offer you a long-term deal that could potentially be a lower earnings for you in year 6, 7, or 8, but we're also giving this to you in year 0 and basically giving you $5 million a year for the next 8 years with a chance to make 6 to 8 in years 6, 7, and 8. The contract I'm talking about is Cooper Pratt. That's the reference that I'm making. And again, it's not like they're saying to the player, like, hey, you have to sign this or we're going to cut you. Like, this is agreed upon. And these guys have agents. So, I don't think they should be limiting, say, nope, you can only do 5 years and the max you can do is 202. I don't like that. What I will say is the last piece of proposal that MLB has is a 50-50 revenue split, which does pretty much match the rest of professional sports. So that part I agree with. So again, like we just went through all of this, there's parts that I agree with, parts that I disagree with on both sides. And it's very, very messy. And the biggest dispute between the two sides is the cap. Both sides, and from what I've read, both sides are willing to cancel games over it. So it's, in my mind, and these are the conversations that I've had with people online, in discussions about the subject of 2027, is it feels pretty bleak for the 2027 season as of July 29th, 2026. It feels pretty bleak that we're probably not going to have a baseball season on schedule, if at all, next year. So, to the point that we've already begun gathering content ideas for next summer in place of baseball season. And I'm sure we'll continue discussing that, and we're open to ideas of things that we could do in place of a baseball season, but we don't want that to happen.
No, I'd much rather watch the Brewers for 162 games. And I know we've been spoiled since 2017, but it doesn't take away from the feeling of, turning on the Brewers and, watching them on a Wednesday or a Tuesday night or a Thursday night. You get what I'm saying? There's nothing that replaces that. The summertime is for the Brewers. And then, the Packers and the Badgers football come, towards the tail end of the season. We have the playoff run, and then the Bucks start. Yeah. That's just how it goes, man.
That's exactly how it goes.
I don't ask for much.
Yeah. I just want the seasons to be where they're supposed to be.
I just want to watch my sports, man.
So now that we have the context of what's being proposed by the players, by the league, do we want to look at it aggressively or conservatively first?
Why don't you go first?
All right. So I looked at it from why it would be potentially that the Brewers would be more conservative going towards the 2026 trade deadline, knowing that the 2027 season is not guaranteed. Now, if the 2027 season doesn't happen, all contracts are frozen. Nobody's getting paid, so it doesn't, the contracts for 2027 would just roll over to 2028, and that's when they would start over again. So with this, why should the Brewers be conservative if there's no 2027 season? The minor leagues still play. So that's part of it. Regardless of if they're aggressive or conservative, I do think Jesus Mate and Andrew Fisher should be untouchable. But I've been saying that the Brewers are trying to position themselves for a 2028 and beyond dynasty. Jackson Chourio, Cooper Pratt, and Luis Lara deals are, in my mind, to that point. That they're looking at those deals that, okay, if we're going to be forced into spending between this much and this much, let's pre-plan for that, and let's start locking up some of the guys that we want on this team from 2028 through 2032.
Yeah.
And Chourio, Pratt, and Lara are the first three to that point. With that, I would like to see more deals like that this summer. If they could do that with a Mizorowski, or maybe an Abner Uribe, Garrett Mitchell, maybe give him an extension. Looking at guys in the minor leagues, Fisher was just drafted last summer. It's crazy that we're already talking about hey, let's extend him. Guys like Blake Burke, guys that are in AAA. A lot of this is going to be kind of dependent on what happens after the trade deadline, because I think a lot of guys in AAA are on the block. And obviously they're not going to be talking extensions with guys that they're possibly talking about trading. So with that said, I think that there's ways that they can be potentially conservative while still preserving that potential dynasty that they're looking to have. They'd have the number one farm system. The farm system would get to play all of 2027, and then they'd come into 2028, and your whole farm system that was number one got to have a whole season still, while everybody else stayed the same. Everybody else's farm system gets to play too, but the farm system of one of the best teams in baseball gets to continue getting better. I think that puts the Brewers in a really, really good spot for 2028 and beyond. Now, my own touche point would be I can see that the Brewers could make a move an aggressive move like Jake's going to talk about in a second and still preserve that approach depending on what they trade and who they trade it for. Like, I know Skubal is a hot name, and I'm not going to try to like be like, here's what they could do aggressively, because that's Jake's thunder.
Yeah.
The one last thing that I want to touch on being conservative also concerns minor league players, because part of this, and this is why I'm bringing this up, because it is strongly affected by the way that 2027 is going to go, whether it's the extension front like I was just talking about, or calling players up from the minor leagues. Because what happens is, if there's no 2027 season, anybody on the 40-man roster will not be allowed to participate in minor league baseball in 2027.
Yeah.
So Jesus Mate, Andrew Fisher, Blake Burke, when you're like, oh my God, why don't they give some of these guys a chance in Major League Baseball? They need pop this year. If those guys play this year, they cannot play in minor league baseball next season. If they are extended, they will be on the 40-man roster under contract. They cannot play next year.
Mm-hmm.
That is why there's a conservative approach to be taken here. Because if you want to see Andrew Fisher, I want to see him in AAA.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
Don't want to see him in Major League Baseball in 2026 as badly as I want to see him in Major League Baseball in 2026. I don't want to see him. Because if there's no season next year, I don't want him sitting on a couch.
I agree.
If it's not worth it, in my opinion. Like, I get that there's an aggressive approach, a case to be made, but the Brewers are the number one team in baseball, tied, as of today, pending what happens in their game as it finishes.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need to call a guy from AA to the major leagues and potentially nuke his 2027 season, cost him 400 AAA at-bats in 2027 on the off chance that he helps you for the last 2 months of 2026.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth it, in my opinion. 2 months of major league hitting in 2026 is not worth a full season of AAA in 2027 if there's no MLB season.
Yep. That's a great point, honestly. That's probably an angle that a lot of people don't take, so I like that.
And that's why I wanted to bring it up. Now, I just said that I want to see him in AAA, and there's people being like, oh my God, he needs to fix his strikeouts. I've been ad nauseum saying that I don't give a shit how he makes outs on Andrew Fisher, and I still feel that way. And I made an entire post about it last Wednesday, and today I am here to give you 2 more statistics on why I don't care about strikeouts. As long as he's obviously still batting with a high average, he's still getting on base, he's still slugging, and he still has a high OPS. Looking at Major League Baseball, players with minimum 100 plate appearances, players that have a 32.9% strikeout rate or higher, that is the number that Andrew Fisher is at, there are 21. 21 players who have a strikeout percentage over 32.9%. Andrew Fisher is currently hitting a home run every 9.24 at-bats, which is crazy. That's essentially every other game he's hitting a home run.
Yeah.
Maybe, every 2+ games, if you figure about 4 at-bats a game.
He's hitting a home run every series.
It's almost every other game.
Yeah.
Players that have had, in Major League Baseball, minimum 100 plate appearances that have a .4 at bat per home runs or less in Major League Baseball?
Barry Bonds.
0.
Oh, not even Barry Bonds? Oh, probably because he was getting walks.
I'm talking right now.
Oh, I was gonna say. Okay.
So there are 21 guys striking out as much as he is. There are 0 guys hitting home runs as much as he is.
Okay.
I don't care how he's making his outs. I do not care because he is hitting home runs at a rate that nobody is.
It's fair.
And there are 21 guys striking out just as much or more in Major League Baseball. So again, as long as the rest of the bat stats translate, I do not care about his strikeouts.
Yeah, he's still producing runs clearly, so you can't really complain about how he's getting out. He's got to get out some way or the other.
That's such a nitpicky thing, and I said it last week. If he is I don't want him to swing less just so that he strikes out less. Because if he's swinging less, that means he's hitting fewer home runs.
Very true.
Because you need to swing to hit home runs.
That is generally the case, yeah.
Steve said as long as he's not traded at the deadline, I'm fine with that. Steve, my stance is that Andrew Fisher's untouchable right now.
I don't think
he's playing so out of his mind at the plate that he's untouchable right now.
Unless the Dodgers are offering Shohei Ohtani,
right.
He's not getting traded.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't trade Andrew Fisher for Vladdy. His contract looks ugly. I wouldn't. Aaron Judge, sure, that's fucking Aaron Judge, but I wouldn't trade Andrew Fisher for Tariq Skubal.
No, not for 1 year rental. No.
It's. I could tell you probably on one hand the number of guys that I'd be willing to trade Andrew Fisher for, and Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge are 2 of them.
It's pretty short list. You can maybe get to 5. I'll say maybe 5. There might not even be 5, honestly.
Yeah, there might not. Bobby Witt Jr., I would do that. I would trade Andrew Fisher for Bobby Witt Jr.
He's good.
Yeah.
Him and Terang up the middle would be insane.
Dude,
literally the USA team middle infield, bro.
Right? Yeah. I wouldn't trade him for Cal Raleigh.
Hell.
I wouldn't trade him for Ellie. I wouldn't trade him for Lindor. Juan Soto maybe, but his contract is just stupid, and the Brewers don't need outfielders.
Yeah, no.
It might be 3. The list might be 3.
It might be 3. Yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't trade him for Jordan.
No. Not at their current ages, no.
Yeah. So that's like I've said, untouchable. So that's why I think the Brewers could/should be conservative based on the way that the 2027 outlook as it stands now is. So, Jake, why do you think they should be aggressive?
So why should the Brewers be aggressive at the deadline? I have 4 main points. I numbered them, categorized them. Number 1, the pitching staff is built to win now. Every team that goes from not competing to competing, what's the first thing they try to work on? The pitching staff. That's the one thing the Brewers have had consistently over the course of the last 9 years when they've been competing. They've had reliever of the years with Josh Hader and Devin Williams. They've turned guys who are nobodies into somebodies. They've basically formed, remolded all of these pitchers. Now they've had some good guys. Like Brandon Woodruff, terrible luck, but guy clearly talented as all hell. But they have Mizorowski this year.
The year that one of his teammates won the Cy Young.
Right. Just look at the case study that's happening right in front of us right now. We had one a couple of years ago with Devin Williams when he left Milwaukee. He's just been absolute shit since he's left. But look at what happened to my boy Freddie. Freddie has looked terrible. He might be back in a Brewers uniform pretty soon, the way that everybody's talking about it.
It feels very, very unlikely, from what I've heard, that the smoke is very thin.
Okay. Well, I just been seeing Passan talk about it quite a bit, that it could be happening.
John Hagan said this morning that there's not much to it.
Oh.
So
the Mets are probably asking for too much. But the point remains, look at what happened to Freddie after he left Milwaukee. It almost feels like when a pitcher leaves Milwaukee is like when a wide receiver would leave Green Bay. See you later, career. The only one that went against it is Devontae Adams, and he was in his prime.
Devontae Adams was arguably the best wide receiver in the league when he left.
Yes. So, Jordy, I mean, obviously coming off an ACL, James Jones, Randall Cobb, Greg Jennings. I mean, the list just goes on and on, right? Yeah. So I went over the numbers a couple weeks ago. The Brewers are literally first or second in almost every major pitching category. I don't want to bore everybody with the numbers today.
It makes a little bit of sense to get Freddie, Steve.
It makes a little bit of sense because how much do you trust Brandon Sproat? That's kind of
in a playoff game. I would trust Freddie Peralta more than I trust Brandon Sproat.
That's the point that has to be made.
I wouldn't trade Brandon Sproat for Freddie Peralta.
No, I wouldn't either. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just
saying like the caveats here.
Yeah, like the ultimate goal this year is a championship. So if you're in a situation where you had to start one of them, I would trust Freddie Peralta. That's
why we're talking aggressive right now. Yep.
Right. So then my second point is the NL and really the MLB is down to two teams. Let's be real. It felt that way last year. It came true. It feels that way this year. Do you think the Rays are good enough to beat the Brewers or the Dodgers in a 7-game series? No, I don't think so. Do I think they can make it entertaining like the Blue Jays did? Yes.
As it stands today, I don't think the Yankees are either.
No, the Yankees, oh God, especially after Garrett Cole blew up. I think that was the other day. He was in the dugout and he was like getting talked to by one of his coaches. And he was like, I've been pitching for 14 fucking years. I think I know what I'm doing. Like, dude, they're just imploding from the inside. The Red Sox being on fire, that's not going to last forever.
Right.
So if we're being real, the championship is down to two teams. Yeah. Us and the team that stands in our goddamn way. It is David versus Goliath again. Repeat part 2 in 2026.
And it's like the championship is going to be played in the NLCS.
It feels like that. I mean, and we've had moments like this in other sports too, right? Like the NFC Championship, when it was between the 49ers and the Seahawks, that was really the Super Bowl. Because what happened when the Seahawks went up against the Denver Broncos? They smacked the living hell out of them, dude. It wasn't close. And what did those teams, the 49ers and the Seahawks, have in common? They were defense first. I would consider pitching and defense to be more like those teams compared to what the Broncos were on offense. Now, the Dodgers are built a little bit differently, obviously have, endless funds of money. Also, if you get time, maybe Google what's going on with the Dodgers owner, by the way. He's going to be in some legal trouble, so I would look that up if I was you. Pretty weird how they're ending up with all this money out of thin air, don't you think? So that's the reason to be aggressive, because you had the measuring stick last year in the playoffs where they were taking you seriously because we swept them in the regular season last year. Yep. They took you seriously in the playoffs, and you saw what happened. Now, we weren't really far off. The pitching was fine, but you needed more offense.
Runs in the 4 games.
Exactly.
16 runs total in 4 games.
That's really not that bad.
It's not. It's like we talked about it probably 75 times last year that 4 is their magic number.
Yeah.
It's, in my mind, to the aggressive point, I think you're talking about pitching right now, but I think they need more hitting, in my opinion. But continue.
And that's, I was going to talk about that because of last year's measuring stick, and I talked about how the pitching staff is built to win now, just like it was last year, and in this part too. Maybe the aggressive move is a bat.
Agree.
Now, there's been a lot of rumors out there. Like you said, Scooble. I brought up Freddie. There's been a number of pitchers that have been named. Joe Ryan. I mean, just number of pitchers. And we both brought up
Reed Detmers from the Angels.
Right. He would be. So when I talk aggressive, I'm not saying we just have to go get the biggest guy out there.
Yeah.
You could absolutely fill 1, 2, 3, plug a couple holes while maintaining the power that you have in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
But then fixing some things on the minor league. I think that's the route that I would take.
And that's where, my number one guy last week for trade targets is Foster Griffin. I think he's a starting pitcher that can really help you out.
Yeah.
He's a guy that the Nationals want to sell high on, and he's a guy that's not going to cost you as much as Joe Ryan or Tariq Skubal.
Exactly. And, we both had Foster Griffin on our for that reason, 31-year-old.
It feels strategically aggressive.
Right. So
not just bull in China shop aggressive.
Exactly. So my third point, and this is lessons that we have learned with the Packers and the Bucks, two of the most recent champions that we've seen with our teams, is that championship windows don't stay open forever. And obviously, knock on wood, hopefully this doesn't happen to the Brewers, but the injury bug literally killed what I thought was going to be a dynasty with both of our teams. I thought the Packers were about to go on a run. Charles Woodson was still good. Nick Collins was the best young safety in the league, in my opinion. Jermichael Finley was a top 10 tight end. They had wide receivers galore. Rodgers was entering his prime. Injuries. The Milwaukee Bucks, we could talk about them. Obviously, we know the number of injuries they went through. Once 22 started getting the knee injuries, it was wraps. They didn't have another guy that could create shots like him.
After the championship, that's
right.
Decline.
Not just create shots for himself, but he created a lot of shots for others just because of his gravity of being able to make tough mid-rangers, and he was a coach on the floor. So the injuries really killed what I thought was going to be dynasties for those teams, and championship windows don't stay open forever. So while you have this chance to go for one, you're in the driver's seat, you get it, you're driving through the aisles, and you get to pick something off the side. I say you got to go for it. Because
the injury bugs, we're already seeing it with Brandon Woodruff and Christian Yelich.
Right. Unfortunately with Yelich, man, I think, and it really sucks with the knee. I thought he was about to go on a generational run, dude. The swing that he had, the way that he was able to run, dude, and the fact that DH
in September of 2019, I thought he was going to rattle back-to-back MVPs.
Bro, the fact that DH was coming to the NL in the future and he wasn't known as he didn't have a strong arm. He always had a pretty good glove and he could read the ball. But his ability just to hit, him as a DH in the 2018-2019 days, that's 50 homers waiting right there. He was
44 when he got hurt with 2 weeks to go.
He was nasty.
Not at it the way that he was going.
He was nasty. So championship windows don't stay open forever. It's us versus the Dodgers. The pitching staff is just elite right now. You have to capitalize on those few things. The last thing I got, and I was like, okay, I can't end at 3, so I got to create another one. I sat there. I mulled it over. I'm really thinking about it. I didn't write anything on this page for a whole day. I literally, I'm not kidding you. I really thought about this. And I was like, you know what? The fan base has earned an aggressive trade. The Milwaukee Brewers fan base, because Brewers fans may not be Bucks fans. Brewers fans may not be Packers fans. But, obviously we are, and there are a lot of people that are. But the Brewers fan base in general has earned an aggressive deadline deal. We've had winning seasons. Obviously, the Brewers' minor league managers are some of the best in baseball with their ability to develop these young players. So we got the minor league thing down. We got the winning seasons. We got the division titles. We got the number one, like I said, minor league system. They do an excellent job in the pitching lab. We got all these good things. And I love it all. I appreciate it all. I'm not trying to say I'm not, not gracious, not showing gratitude for the things that I have. But every once in a while, it is okay for me to be greedy as a fan, and I want more. I want a title. I'm so sick and tired of hearing from Cubs fans, you'll never win a title. Or hearing from Dodgers fans, oh, how many titles do you have? You know how old that gets? And baseball with the Brewers is the only fan base that I totally understand what Lions and Vikings fans are going through, because that's the excuse that we say to them. But the difference between us and them is we actually put a winning product, and we're a smart organization with how we manage our players. Right. The Vikings have done nothing but shoot themselves in the foot for their entire existence. Yeah. And the Lions get good for 3 years. Also, I'm not cheering for injury, but LOL at Kirby Joseph. All I'm going to say about that situation. The Brewers, now, like I said before, this is the last thing I'll say. you don't need to go get Tariq Skubal, especially if it's going to cost you like 4 or 5 top prospects. Hell no. If he goes to the Dodgers, it's over with. I'll see you guys in 2028. Mason Miller, though, is interesting to me because he has team control. That's the big difference for me. And I understand that he's not a starter, but, bro, if you can make a game 5 innings, you have a guy in Mizorowski who's going to get you the 5 innings. He can get you 6, 7 innings every once in a while.
Don't do that.
Dude. And Kyle Harrison's developing nicely. I mean, Henderson I think he has the second most after yesterday's game. Was he have the second most wins second lowest ERA in the first 14 starts in Brewers history. So, I mean, Henderson is developing nicely. Mason Miller, that one feels that's the one if you were going to go for it, in my opinion.
The control aspect about that is very fair.
That's the thing where I go to. As far as a bat, I've been on Jordan for the entire year. That division is so goddamn bad that somehow the Astros are going to be buyers at the deadline. Unfortunately, the way that I saw it the first 2 months, I was like, oof.
They're trying to buy while cutting salary at the same time.
That's a tough thing to do, man. Yeah. It's a really tough thing to do. But
I feel like that's how the Pirates are going to be.
The Pirates, the Pirates are in a situation because they think the NL is so wide open that I agree that that's what they're going to try to do. But I think they just need to take this as an experience year and just keep developing their young players and just be like, hey, whatever happens this year happens. If we lose in the divisional round, we lose in the wild card, whatever. They just need to take whatever happens this year and just let it happen.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because I don't think they're anywhere near a title.
Right. And to the aggressive point, and I know this is a point that you've made, and I'm just going to bring it back up because you haven't said it yet, is that if there's no 2027 season, you get to be the champions for 2 years.
Dude. Yeah, and I did talk about that a couple weeks ago, but
I feel like
how good that would
be a scenario where unless they get to like mid-August that the season gets fully canceled after that stupid-ass 2020 COVID season where they played 60 games. I feel like they would try to do that again over canceling a season, especially Major League Baseball, because then everybody gets their contracts paid.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the Players Association would probably agree to that too, because then their players get paid to play a fraction of the games. But, I mean, there's going to be no performance boosts for that because nobody's hitting 50 home runs in 60 games except maybe Andrew Fisher. But it's a really tough thing. That's why we made an entire episode out of it. Based on all the things that are being discussed and proposed. And I don't envy Matt Arnold. I don't. It's a really tough spot to be in to try to be thinking like, hey, what should we do in the next 4 days? And then also trying to think about what's going to happen next season.
What should we make predictions? What we think is going to happen? Just off top of our head. What do you think? Do you think the Brewers are going to be aggressive or not?
I'm kind of hoping that they are aggressively pursuing Skubal reportedly to make the Dodgers pay more if they're going to try to get him. I also could see Skubal being super pissed and telling the Tigers that he wants out because he left the game in the 7th inning today, and the Tigers were winning 7-1. And the game ended up going 12 innings, and the Tigers lost 10-9.
Oh.
Skubal might be pissed right now.
Oh.
He's not going to pitch again before the trade deadline. His next start would be probably next Monday or Tuesday. Trade deadline is Monday.
Oh, my.
So if Skubal's pissed, he might just say, yeah, I'm okay with being traded.
Jesus.
Now, again, if the Brewers can drive up the Dodgers and they can get the Dodgers to give up Jose Del Paula and get their number one prospect out of the system, that hurts them 2028 and beyond.
Yeah. especially if a salary cap does happen.
Steve said, "Get him now!" All caps, 3 exclamation marks, 4 exclamation marks.
Bro, Skubal and Mizorowski would just be.
Yeah,
I mean,
nobody wants to see that.
Listen, I think Tariq Skubal's terrific. A lot of people do.
Yep.
Nobody is touching Mizorowski in terms of who's the best player. I think he's the best player in baseball this year. I'm serious.
I think he's the best pitcher in baseball. I don't know if I can say that he's the best player.
Dude, he's getting MVP nods, bro.
Straight up. That's fine.
Straight up pitcher getting MVP nods. When's the last time that happened?
Fantastic. But Shohei Ohtani exists. Honestly, like, talking about hitters and stuff, like, Yordan Alvarez is having an insane season. Honestly, a guy that I said that the Brewers should trade for like 2 years ago, I don't think he was available. But Ben Rice is having an insane season while Aaron Judge is out. Only reason Yankees are competitive is because of Ben Rice.
That's fair.
So I don't think I can say that Mizorowski's the best player in baseball, but he's the best pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, he's the best pitcher. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think this year, I mean, dude, he struck out the first 7 batters he saw his last start. That is nasty. Yeah, I saw. I saw.
And I'd hear an argument for it.
I mean, I think he was up to like 4th in MVP odds, which is insane.
That is crazy. I think he's going to win the Cy Young.
I do too.
Easily, in my opinion.
I do too.
So,
I think that he passed Sanchez.
Yeah. I think once they faced off and Mizorowski pitched a lot better than Sanchez, I think that was like he is the best.
Yeah, a lot of Phillies fans are crying about it, but hey, cry yourself to sleep.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, let us know. What do you think they should do? Should they be aggressive? Should they be conservative? I still think the answer lies somewhere in the middle. I think like we kind of walked ourselves into the strategically aggressive way is the way to go. What that means, what that looks like, we'll find out come Monday. But I'm sure we'll still make a couple trade-related posts between now and then. So stick around with us, and then also keep an eye out tonight or tomorrow morning for our Brewers and Giants series takeaways. And then we'll be back next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we're starting with Badgers football. We're getting ready for Badgers football season because fall camp is just about to open for Badgers football. Media Day was this week, so I've been taking some notes on Luke Fickell's comments at Media Day. So, yeah, it's cautious excitement, but very excited for Badgers football season. I'm ready to see how it looks different because it's going to be different. So, looking forward to it. So next week we're going to get a taste of that and start discussing Badgers football. So. Stick around with us for that, and then as we get into August, we're also going to be starting Packers shows on Tuesday nights. So we'll see you guys next week, and we're 2 weeks out from starting on Tuesdays.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.